Like no Barbie girl, I'm living in my own world. I am plastic, call me classic. You can.
So I'm gonna present question number 3, which is analyze and comment the trends of inflation in Malaysia from 2019 to 2023. In 2019, the average inflation rate in Malaysia for the year 2019 was 0.7%. This indicates a relatively reflection stable price and a relatively well-managed inflationary pressure. There are several factors that influencing inflation, which is factor contributed to the inflation trend in Malaysia during 2019. This also include change in global oil price, government policies, exchange rate movements, and domestic demand condition. Fluctuation in oil prices can significantly impact Malaysia's economy as it is a net oil exporter. Government policies such as the implementation of targeted subsidy also play a role in managing inflationary pressure. The average inflation rate in Malaysia for the year 2020 was 1.2%. This represents a notable decrease compared to the previous year, indicating a relatively low level of price increases. However, it is important to note that the overall inflation rate masks significant variation across different periods within the year. The COVID-19 pandemic and the resulting lockdown measure had a severe impact on Malaysia's economy in 2020. The lockdown during Movement Control Command, which is PKP, caused a lot of people lost their jobs, lost their source of income, and cannot pay the monthly commitment such as rent of house and car. It is because during Movement Control Command (PKP), no one allowed to go out, and all the supermarket, mall, and retail shop are all closed. The strict movement restriction and disruption to businesses lead to reduced demand, supply chain disruption, and income losses. This factor play a role in dampening inflationary pressure as consumer spending and economic activity were significantly constrained. For 2021, in the first 3 quarters of the implementation of Movement Control Order MCO 2.0 and 3.0 in early and mid-2021 has caused the inflation rate to increase significantly to 2.5% as compared to 2020, negative 1.2%. However, it is important to note that the inflation rate can vary throughout the year, and the full year average might be different. Various factors contribute to the inflation trend in Malaysia. These include global commodity price, domestic demand condition, government policies, and exchange rate movement. As you can see on the graph, the percent of CPI in 2019 is 0.7, but in 2020, the percent is dropped until negative 1.1%. But again, in 2021, the percent is higher than 2020 and 2019 a year before.
For 2022, an inflation rate of 3.4% was calculated. During the observation period from 1960 to 2022, the average inflation rate was 3.0% per year. Overall, the price increase was 497.36%. An item that cost 100 ringgits in 1960 that cost 597.36 ringgits at the beginning of 2023. The trend of inflation in Malaysia in 2022 would depend on various macroeconomic factors such as economic growth, domestic demand, and employment levels and monetary policy. These factors can influence consumer spending, production costs, and price levels, thus impacting inflation. Malaysia's currency, the Malaysian ringgit, plays a role in shaping inflation. Exchange rate movements can impact the prices of imported goods and services, which can in turn affect inflation. Changes in exchange rates relative to major currencies, such as the US dollar, can influence the inflation. Last one is for 2023. The annual inflation rate in Malaysia is to 2.8% in May 2023 from 3.3% in the previous month and less than market forecast of 3%. It's marked the lowest reading since May 2022, due mainly to the further slowdown in prices for transport, which is 1% and 2.3% in April, and food and non-alcoholic beverages 5.9% and 6.3%. Malaysia inflation rate at 11-month low of 3.3%. The annual inflation rate in Malaysia is low to 3.3% in April 2023 from 3.4% in March, matching market expectations. It was lowest inflation rate since last May, mainly due to a slowdown in prices of foods, 6.3% and 6.9%, and transport, which is 2.3% and 2.4%.
Hi, so I will explain you about the months that recorded a high rate of inflation for Malaysia. At this slide, it shows the graph about situation inflation rate from 2019 to 2021. Malaysia inflation rate for 2021 was showed at 2.48%, a 3.62% increase from 2020. Malaysia inflation rate for 2020 was negative 1.14%, a 1.8% decline from 2019. Malaysia inflation rate for 2019 was 0.66%, a 0.22% decline from 2018. And Malaysia inflation rate for 2018 was 0.88%. That is a 2.999% decline from 2017. Okay, the next slide, I will show you about the current situation in any states. 2021, all states registered increases in inflation, while 7 states shows increases which surpass the national inflation level of 2.5%. The highest increase was recorded by Terengganu, that is 3.4%. Meanwhile, Wilayah Persekutuan Kuala Lumpur 2.0% and Sabah and Wilayah Persekutuan Labuan showed at 1.6%, were the 2 states with the lowest increase. All states registered an increase in the inflation of food and beverages. The highest increase was recorded by Selangor and Wilayah Persekutuan Putrajaya 2.4%, followed by Pahang 2.3%, Terengganu 2.2%, Kelantan 2.1%, Johor 1.8%, and Perak same 1.8%. The next slide show that inflation increased 3.2% year-on-year in December 2021, mainly due to the rise in food and fuel prices. The increase also surpassed the average inflation for the period 2011 to 2021 at 1.9%. Annual inflation rate in 2021 showed an increase of 2.5% as compared to a negative 1.2% in 2020. The setting of unleaded petrol RON 95 ceiling price by the government starting March 2021 at RM2.05 was the main contributor to the increase of the inflation rate. So, I will explain you about the months that recorded high inflation rate during 2021. The implementation of Movement Control Order MCO 2.0 and 3.0 in yearly and mid-2021 has caused the inflation rate to increase significantly to 2.5% as compared to 2020, negative 1.2%. The inflation rate increased to the highest level of 4.7% in April 2021 as a result of the lower base effect last year. which recorded a significant increase mainly by the group of transport as well as an increase in the prices of miscellaneous goods. Next, I will explain to you which month that take high inflation rate during the year of 2022. Malaysia's inflation rate in August 2022 increased to 4.7% year-on-year in August 2022, mainly due to food and non-alcoholic beverage, according to Department of Statistics Malaysia in a statement. The figure measured by the Consumer Price Index also moved up from 4.4% in July 2022. The inflation for the period of January to August 2022 increased by 3.1% compared to the same period of the previous year. Next slide show the current month record high inflation rate during 2023. Malaysia's Consumer Price Index (CPI) for January 2023 is to 3.7% from 3.8% in December 2022, said the Department of Statistics Malaysia. Also, implementation of the festive season maximum price scheme for the 2023 Chinese New Year, which started from January 50 to 29 January, and the setting of the ceiling price for cooking oil in bottles by the government eased the inflation of this group from continuing to rise, he said. So that's all from me. Thank you for hearing my presentation, and I give it to the next question to my friends Zikri.
The initiative taken by the government in maintaining affordability of goods during festive season. So for the first one, price controlling and monitoring. Government can enforce price control measures to prevent excessive price hikes during festive seasons. Authorities will closely monitor the prices of essential goods so it will reasonable and do not burden consumers. Promotion and discounts. Government can encourage business to offer promotion, discount or special packages to consumers. This can help alleviate the financial burden and make goods more affordable for public. For the last one, subsidies and financial assistance. Government can provide subsidies or financial assistance to low-income households to help them cope with the increased expenses during festive season. These programs may include cash transfers, food aid, or vouchers to purchase essential goods at discounted prices.